there are 5 of us on stage here of the 8 members that were in the group back in the 70s. And we're going to talk a little bit about it. I'd like to introduce David Johnson, Alan Oddie, Rick Kavistad, the same last name, Stacey Bowers. Regret they couldn't be here, Michael Udow, Chris Braun, and James Baird, but they're here in spirit, and we're going to tell you everything we remember from back in the 70s. So we're listening to one of Rick's pieces called Miles East, an early pattern music piece that we did in the first couple years when Rick was in the group. Al and I are original members from the very beginning to the very end. Rick was there for the first 2 years. David was in the group for the middle 3 years, and Stacy for the last 3 years of the group, I believe, right? Stacy played extra with us a lot as well, but we originally, as Tom pointed out, we spent 1 semester in Champaign-Urbana, and then Al O'Connor at Northern Illinois University invited us up to be the percussion department. We split 1 salary between 4 people, but it was a lot more than we were making before, and we were happy to be in that town.
You were the only one who had a car, right?
I had a car, barely, and that was our touring vehicle. It was a 1965 Buick station wagon. The driver's door did not open, so that's how we started. Through the course of the 7 years, and I want to point out the Beatles were together for 7 years. I'd love to compare us to the Beatles. And Nexus is still going together, and the Rolling Stones are still happening, so there's an analogy there somewhere. So we had a whole lot of rules, and we had contracts, we had a lot of discussions, you might call them, but we had a consensus that anybody that wanted to program a piece would have a choice of a piece, and nobody else could question it. So it could be the dumbest piece or whatever, and we had to do it. That never happened, of course.
I think Gary, made the point here. I think, first of all, our goals were noble. We were bringing really, really weird music to the masses. But I think the thing that we all learned, other than our music really well, because we practiced every day, this was really a great thing. In other words, a lot of modern music pieces were being performed badly. So we said, no, the only way you'll know if it's a good piece or not is to really work on it. And we did 6 weeks sometimes. We performed it, and it turned out to be a bad piece. But you won't even know that, with a lot of modern music, but we gave it a fair shake.
Ron Pellegrino was the electronic music professor at Oberlin in 1970. There was an oscilloscope, and he found this way to film tuning figures on the oscilloscope, which was just a tiny little thing. He made a couple of these beautiful films, then made soundtracks to them. So I asked him, could we take one of these films and improvise to it? Because he made his own soundtrack, and he said, yeah, that would be great. So that's how it works. These are films made by old-fashioned synthesizers, their activity is watched on a tiny little oscilloscope.
Piece that Stacy wrote. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, that piece was written, I actually wrote it for the Blackearth group in 1976. It's a series of about 25 different patterns that you improvise with, and we played that piece quite a few times. And it's sort of taken on a life of its own even after Blackearth. I very often hear about people playing it.
I did the group for 3 years. And I learned so much. I learned so much from doing those 2.5-hour rehearsals every day, and the touring in Europe and the touring around the country. working with Jeffsky and working with you guys and playing John Cage Third Construction.